After the explosion, I fled to a small border town and assumed a new identity, working at an environmental protection station. Everyone believed I had died in that gas explosion. For 2 years, a polished cenotaph in my name stood in the mining cemetery. Someone had cleaned it every day, wiping away dust, fallen leaves, even snow. I never dared wonder who. Until today. The station door swung open with a heavy metallic clang. A group of officials walked in, clipboard, badges, the scent of city perfume drifting behind them. I greeted them out of habit, then froze. Standing at the front was my former superior. Her eyes widened, her face draining of color. For a heartbeat, neither of us moved. "You're alive," she whispered, her breath catching. "Why didn't you come back? Renard has been guarding your grave for 2 years. He nearly killed himself in the mines when you died." Renard. My ex-husband. His name hit me like a thrown stone. She pressed a trembling hand to her mouth. He blamed himself. He still does. Memories rippled through me. Renard, tall and calm as stone, always carrying the weight of the mine on his shoulders. And always carrying Lorraine with him. Lorraine, his childhood sweetheart, the girl raised by his family after her parents died saving his mother in a mining accident. They treated her as their own daughter. After our wedding, she treated me as an intruder. The first time she sabotaged my safety rope, I fell into an abandoned shaft. My body shattered like dropped glass. Doctors said it was a miracle I lived. Renard flew specialists in from across the country. That was the only reason I survived at all. The second time, she tampered with my oxygen tank. I woke up in a sealed tunnel, struggling breath by breath while my lungs burned. Renard led the search himself, yelling my name until his voice broke. When he found me, he held my limp body and sobbed into my hair as if he could cry life back into me. She hurt me. He saved me. Again and again. A toxic cycle sealed in tradition, guilt, and blind devotion. Then came the last time. Lorraine triggered a gas leak in my work area. A spark took care of the rest. The blast swallowed everything. My skin peeled away from heat. My lungs collapsed. As they carried me on a stretcher, the world fading in and out, I begged Renard to call the police. He shook his head gently, as if I were a child throwing a tantrum. "Danica," he murmured. "She didn't mean it. Her parents died for my mother. For my sake. Let this go, all right?" In that moment, I felt something inside me turn to ash. Not my body. My heart. I survived. Barely. When I woke up in the mining hospital, bandaged and wrapped like a broken doll, the first number I dialed was his mother's. "Mrs. Montgomery," I said, my voice eerily calm despite the pain. "I agree to the divorce." There was a brief silence. Then, relief. "Good. I will send the papers." The lawyer arrived 20 minutes later. Polite smile. Crisp suit. A neat stack of documents that erased 3 years of my life. Tears blurred the pages. 3 years of gentle mornings, quiet dinners, whispered apologies. 3 years of second chances I had never asked for. But the moment Lorraine was involved, I became disposable. When everything was signed, the lawyer bowed slightly. "Miss Alba, once the certificate is processed, I will deliver it personally." After he left, the room fell into a hollow stillness. The kind that made you wonder if you truly survived it all. The door creaked open again. Too soft, too familiar. Lorraine stepped inside, holding a bouquet of white chrysanthemums. Her smile was sweet and bright. Too bright. My skin crawled. "What are you doing here?" I asked, my voice thin. She let the flowers fall to the floor with a soft rustle. Her smile twisted into something cold. "What do you think? I came to send you off properly. The explosion failed, so I guess I have to finish the job myself." Before I could move, she lunged. Her fingers clamped around my throat, nails digging into burned skin. Pain flared like electricity, my weakened body useless beneath her strength. Air slipped away. My vision tunneled. Then a shout. A doctor burst into the room. "What are you doing? Stop." In the confusion, I twisted and gasped one final plea. "Call the police." The world went black. When I woke again, Renard was standing over me, fury shadowing his face. "Danica," he said tightly, "why did you call the police? Lorraine has already been taken away." She tried to strangle me. I rasped, still feeling her hands on my throat. He frowned as if I were being unreasonable. "Her parents died saving my mother. She is emotionally unstable, but she is not a bad person. She didn't mean to hurt you. She didn't mean to kill me? I snapped, voice cracking. She sabotaged my safety rope. She tampered with my tank. She caused the gas explosion.
She tried to choke me to death today.
Renard, she wants me gone. Every single time, he reached for me, but I slapped his hand away. I am pressing charges, I said. This time I won't bend. A flicker of frustration crossed his eyes. Lorraine is spoiled, yes, but she is not evil. I will discipline her myself. Maybe suspend her. But prison will ruin her life. Before I could argue, his assistant stepped forward and handed me a document. Sign this, and everything will return to normal. You and Mr. Montgomery can move on. A bold title glared up at me, Statement of Forgiveness. I laughed, a dry, broken sound. I am not signing that. Lorraine lost her parents young, Renard said softly. She has never suffered like this. A detention center would crush her. Danica, be good. I said no. My refusal rang through the room. His assistant grabbed my arm, twisting it behind my back. Pain exploded through me. He forced the pen between my fingers, dragging it across the page. Then he pressed my fingers into the ink pad and stamped the paper. Renard watched, silent, unmoving. Sweat drenched my gown. My voice trembled as I whispered, "You're doing this for her?" He didn't deny it. Instead, he turned away and said quietly, "Call the doctor." Renard stopped visiting after that, choosing instead to send brief messages from the mines. Get the best medicine for her hand. Make sure she is taken care of for the next few days. The mine collapsed, and I am tied up right now. Do not stay angry. Once you are discharged, I will take you to the city to relax. Does your hand still hurt? Take care of yourself. Each message was gentle, apologetic, almost tender. But every time his words reached my phone, another message arrived instantly after. Lorraine, like a blade hiding behind a velvet glove. She sent endless photos of Renard beside her. Him pouring her water. Him massaging her shoulders. Him peeling apples with the same self-defense knife he had never allowed me to touch. The snapshots felt like daggers, each one sharper than the last. That night, the throbbing pain in my injured hand kept me awake. Against every bit of logic I had left, I called him.
The phone rang,
and kept ringing. No answer. I hung up. Seconds later, my screen lit up with a message from Lorraine. He can guess what we are doing. Below her words was a video. Even the thumbnail made my stomach twist. I tapped it open with shaking fingers. Lorraine lay sprawled across Renard's bed, her clothes slipping off her shoulders, her flushed skin glowing in the warm yellow light. Then she sat up and wrapped her arms around Renard from behind, pressing herself against him. Renard, please do not go. I feel so hot. That wine. It was too strong. If you leave, something bad will happen to me.
Please.
Renard froze. His back stiffened. For a moment I saw hesitation. Then the call I made appeared on his screen. He glanced at it, clenched his jaw, and hung up. He turned back to Lorraine and gently helped her lie down again. I will stay with you until morning. The screen went black. Only soft groans and Lorraine quiet, satisfied laughter echoed in the darkness. It felt like falling into an endless cold abyss. I called him again.
And again.
I made over 400 calls that night, each one unanswered. At dawn, a message finally appeared. I handled an emergency last night. A thin, broken laugh escaped me. So this was his emergency. Her. My discharge day happened to fall on my birthday. Renard came to pick me up in person, smiling as if nothing had ever been wrong. He even booked a private hall in an upscale restaurant, decorated with gold drapes and soft candlelight. He stayed glued to my side the entire evening. When the cake was cut, he fastened a custom gold necklace around my neck. Guests murmured in admiration, calling us a perfect couple. But to me, the necklace felt like a weight dragging me underwater. Halfway through the banquet, my chest tightened. I excused myself and stepped into the hallway. Cool air brushed against my skin, and for a moment, I could breathe. Until someone blocked my path. Lorraine leaned against the wall, arms crossed. Her smile was sharp as broken glass. Well, if it is not Mrs. Montgomery, the star of the evening. I tried to walk around her. She stepped in front of me again. Renard must adore you. Throwing a party, buying that necklace. You must think you have one. But when you called the police on me, who saved me, you know the answer. He forced you to sign that forgiveness letter just to protect me. She leaned close, her perfume thick and suffocating. Do you even understand how much he depends on me, everything we have been through together? But you still cling to him shamelessly. Her words dripped into me like poison, each one cutting deeper than the last. I tried to turn away, but she grabbed my wrist, her nails stabbing into my skin. You survived last time. Let us see if you are that lucky again. Before I could react, two bulky men in work uniforms stepped out of the shadows. Their hands clamped onto my arms, dragging me down the hallway despite my frantic struggles. They shoved me into the top-floor lounge and locked the door behind us. My heartbeat hammered against my ribs. The room was dim, silent, the curtains drawn tight. Lorraine followed, her smile twisting into something feral. Danica, since Renard loves you so much, I will destroy you completely. Let us see if he still wants a filthy, used-up woman after tonight. A leering man stepped forward, cracking his knuckles. His eyes crawled over me like insects. I stumbled back, terror ripping a scream from my throat. Lorraine raised her phone, already recording. The man reached for my clothes.
Bang.
The door slammed open so hard it nearly tore off its hinges. Renard stormed in like a man possessed, rage pouring from him like fire. His gaze locked onto me, pinned beneath the men, my clothes torn. His eyes went bloodshot. He grabbed the nearest man by the collar, lifted him off the ground, and threw him across the room. The man crashed into a table and crumpled without a sound. Renard rushed to me, tearing away the restraints, pulling me into his arms. Danica, it is over. I am here, do not be afraid. All the terror and humiliation I had been holding inside exploded. I broke down, sobbing against his chest. He wrapped his jacket around me, shielding me from the cold, from the room, from everything. We stepped toward the door. At the threshold, Renard stopped. Slowly, he turned back to Lorraine. His voice dropped, dangerous and deadly calm. Lorraine, I tolerated your tantrums all these years out of respect for your parents. But this time, you crossed a line. If anything had happened to Danica today, I would not let you walk away alive. The fury burning in his eyes made Lorraine stumble back. Her confidence cracked, panic trembling through her voice. What are you going to do? Send me to prison? She gave a hysterical laugh, tears glinting. Then something inside her snapped. That wild, reckless light returned to her eyes. Fine, Renard, if you want my life so badly, take it. Before anyone could stop her, she spun around, sprinted toward the open floor-to-ceiling window, and hurled herself out. Time fractured into sharp, jagged pieces after Lorraine fell. I remembered Renard's scream, raw and animal. The sound of sirens. Police flooding the building. Someone wrapping a blanket around my shoulders while I sat on the floor, staring at nothing. Lorraine survived the fall. Barely. 3 broken vertebrae, shattered pelvis, internal bleeding. The doctors said she would live, but she would never walk again. Renard visited her hospital room once. I know because his mother called me, her voice trembling with accusation. This is your fault, she hissed. If you had just been reasonable, if you had just forgiven her, none of this would have happened. Now look at her. Destroyed. I hung up without answering. The police investigation moved forward despite the Montgomery family's attempts to bury it. The 2 men Lorraine hired confessed everything under interrogation. Security footage from the restaurant showed her luring me away. My medical records documented every injury, every attempt on my life. The prosecutor called it a pattern of escalating violence. Attempted murder, multiple counts. Renard stood as a witness, his testimony clinical and precise. He recounted each incident without emotion, his face carved from stone. When the defense attorney tried to paint Lorraine as mentally unstable, Renard cut him off. She knew exactly what she was doing each time. This was not illness. This was choice. His mother walked out of the courtroom in tears. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Lorraine sat in a wheelchair throughout, her face pale and hollow. She never looked at me, not once. But sometimes I caught her staring at Renard with an expression I could not name. Betrayal, perhaps. Or the grief of finally losing something she had believed was hers forever. The verdict came on a Tuesday afternoon. Guilty on all counts. 15 years. As they wheeled her from the courtroom, she finally turned to face Renard. Her voice carried across the silent room. I loved you. I always loved you. But you chose her. Renard said nothing. He just watched her disappear through the doors, his hands clenched at his sides. Outside, Reporters swarmed us. Renard pulled me through the crowd, his body shielding mine until we reached his car. We drove in silence, the city blurring past the windows. Where are we going? I finally asked. Somewhere quiet. He drove us to the lake outside the city, the same place we had gone on our first date. The water stretched endlessly under the gray sky, mirror smooth and cold. We sat on the hood of his car, not touching. I failed you, Renard said at last. His voice cracked on the words. Every single time, I chose the wrong thing. I told myself I was being fair, being kind, honoring a debt. But I was just a coward. I stared at the water.
Yes.
You were. Lorraine's parents saved my mother. That debt felt heavier than anything else in my life. I thought if I could just keep everyone safe, keep everyone happy, it would all work out. He laughed bitterly. I nearly got you killed trying to balance something that could never be balanced. You did get me killed, I said quietly. The woman you married died in that hospital room when you forced me to sign that paper. I am just what survived. He flinched as if I had struck him. I know I do not deserve forgiveness, he continued. I know I destroyed everything we had. But Danica, if you give me a chance, just one chance, I will spend the rest of my life proving I can be the man you deserved from the beginning.
I turned to look at him then.
Really look at him. The same strong jaw, the same dark eyes. But something fundamental had changed. The certainty was gone. In its place was something raw and broken. I do not love you anymore, Renard. The words fell between us like stones. I know, he whispered. But maybe, in time.
No.
I slid off the hood, my feet finding solid ground. There is no time that will undo what happened. You watched her hurt me over and over, and every time you chose her. You crushed my hand to force my signature. You spent the night with her while I called you 400 times. Those are not mistakes. Those are choices. I am sorry. His voice broke completely. God, Danica, I am so sorry. I know you are. But sorry does not give me back the years I lost. Sorry does not erase the scars. Sorry does not make me feel safe with you ever again. I pulled the gold necklace from beneath my shirt, the one he had given me at my birthday party. I unclasped it and placed it carefully on the hood beside him. This was always meant to be a cage, was not it? A pretty one, but still a cage. It was meant to show you I cared. You showed me what you cared about every time you chose her. My former superior arranged my transfer to the environmental station permanently. The paperwork went through faster than I expected, and within 2 weeks, I was officially a resident of the border town. The station was peaceful. We monitored air quality, tracked wildlife, maintained hiking trails. Simple work. Honest work. Work where no one tried to kill me. My colleague, Chun, was a quiet man in his 50s who had been stationed there for a decade. He taught me how to identify bird calls, how to read weather patterns, how to find peace in routine. You are running from something, he observed one morning over tea. Is it that obvious? Only to someone who did the same. He smiled gently. I was a corporate lawyer once. Heart attack at 42. Woke up and realized I had spent 20 years in a war zone of my own making. Do you regret leaving? Every day I regret not leaving sooner. The town itself was small, fewer than 3,000 residents. Everyone knew everyone. The baker remembered how you liked your bread. The postal worker saved packages for you even when you forgot to check. It was the opposite of the mining district, where thousands of workers passed each other like ghosts. I rented a small apartment above a bookstore. The owner, Mrs. Lin, was a widow who had turned her late husband's collection into a lending library. She never asked about my past. She just brought me dumplings on Sundays and recommended books I might like. For the first time in years, I slept through the night without nightmares. But the peace was fragile, and I knew it. Bernard found me 3 months later. I was cataloging soil samples when I saw his truck pull up to the station. My hands froze on the clipboard. Chun glanced between us and quietly excused himself. Renard looked thinner, older. The confidence that had always radiated from him had dimmed into something quieter, more careful. Hello, Danica. How did you find me? I have been looking since the trial ended. He held up his hands. I am not here to ask you to come back. I just needed to see that you were all right. I am fine. Good. He smiled sadly. That is good. An uncomfortable silence stretched between us. The mine is closing, he said finally. After everything that happened, the company decided it was not worth the liability. Too many accidents, too many problems. Everyone is being relocated or retired. And you? I resigned. I cannot keep doing the work that brought so much pain into both our lives. He ran a hand through his hair. I am moving to the coast. There is a small marine conservation project that needs engineers. It is not glamorous, but it is clean work. That sounds good for you. My mother had a stroke last month. She is recovering, but it changed her. She asked me to tell you she is sorry for how she treated you. For everything. I did not know what to say to that. Renard pulled an envelope from his jacket. These are the finalized divorce papers. Everything is settled. The house, the savings, all of it is yours. I do not want anything. Renard.
Please.
Let me do this one thing right. I took the envelope, my fingers brushing his for just a moment. I also wanted you to know, he continued, that I visit Lorraine once a month. Not because I owe her anything, but because someone should. She has no one else. Her condition is deteriorating. The doctors say she might not have much time. That must be difficult. It is what it is. He looked out at the mountains surrounding the station. She told me something during my last visit. She said she never actually loved me. She loved what I represented. Security, family, the life she lost when her parents died. I was just the vessel for all that grief and need. Do you believe her? I think she believes it. I am not sure it matters anymore. He turned back to me. I spent my whole life trying to repay a debt that was never mine to begin with.
My mother was saved.
That was the gift. I did not owe Lorraine my wife, my marriage, or your suffering. But I gave it all anyway because I could not tell the difference between honor and cowardice. You understand that now. Too late, but yes. We stood in the afternoon light, two people who had once promised forever, now separated by a chasm too wide to cross. I hope you find peace, Renard. I really do. I hope the same for you. He walked back to his truck, then paused with his hand on the door. For what it is worth, loving you was the best thing I ever did. Losing you was what I deserved. He drove away, without looking back. I stood there until the dust settled, until the sound of his engine faded completely. Then I returned to my work, cataloging the earth, measuring the air, documenting the quiet persistence of life. 2 years passed. The town became home in the way places do when you stop running from them. I learned the names of the mountains, the rhythms of the seasons, the subtle language of the forest. Chan retired and moved to be with his daughter, and I took over as the senior station officer. Mrs. Lin taught me to bake, and we started a small Sunday tradition where neighbors gathered for tea and fresh bread. The postal worker's daughter became my hiking partner. The doctor who ran the town clinic became a trusted friend. I built a life from small, ordinary moments. And I discovered that ordinary was exactly what I needed. One spring morning, I was leading a group of students on a nature walk when my phone rang. An unknown number. Miss Alba? This is Clearwater Coast Medical Center. You are listed as an emergency contact for Renard Montgomery. My heart stopped. There was an accident at the conservation site. He is in surgery now. It is serious. I made the 8-hour drive in 6. The hospital was small and clean, smelling of salt air and antiseptic. A doctor met me in the waiting room, her expression grave. He was diving to install monitoring equipment when his line tangled. By the time his partner reached him, he had been without oxygen for several minutes. We managed to resuscitate him, but there was significant trauma. The next 48 hours are critical. They let me see him. He lay still as death, tubes and wires connecting him to machines that beeped steadily, counting his heartbeat. His face was pale, peaceful almost. I sat beside him and took his hand. It was strange, touching him after all this time. Once, I had known every line of his body, every scar, every familiar warmth. Now he felt like a memory made flesh. You always did push yourself too hard, I murmured. His partner, a young man named Marcus, came by that evening. He was shaken, guilt written across his face. He saved my life 3 months ago, Marcus said quietly. There was a riptide. I panicked. He pulled me out and talked me through it. He is the best person I have ever worked with. He genuinely cares about the ocean, about making things right. That sounds like him. He talks about you sometimes. Never details, but I can tell he carries regret. Whatever happened between you, I think he has been trying to become someone different. Someone better. I stayed for 3 days. His mother came, older and frilier than I remembered. We barely spoke, but before she left, she touched my shoulder. Thank you for being here. You did not have to be. I know. On the 4th day, Renard woke up. His eyes fluttered open, unfocused at first. Then they found me, and confusion flickered across his face. Danica? Hi. Am I dreaming?
No.
You had an accident. You are in the hospital. He processed this slowly, his gaze drifting to the machines, the 4 in his arm. How bad? Bad enough. But you're going to be fine. Relief softened his features. He tried to sit up and winced. Easy, I said, helping him settle back. You need to rest. You came. His voice was rough, barely above a whisper. They called me. I never expected, after everything. He trailed off, his eyes searching mine.
Why?
I had asked myself the same question during the entire drive. Why rush to the bedside of a man who had caused me so much pain? Why care if he lived or died? The answer was complicated and simple at once. Because you were trying, I said finally. Because people deserve the chance to become something better than their worst moments. And because at the end of everything, we shared something real once, even if we destroyed it. Tears gathered in his eyes. I do not deserve your kindness. Probably not. But I am not doing this for you. I am doing it because it is who I want to be. He reached for my hand, hesitating. I let him take it. I love you, he whispered. I never stopped. I know it does not change anything. I know you have moved on. But I needed you to know. I know you do. And I care about you, Renard. I probably always will. But that does not mean we belong together. I understand. You are building something good here. Do not waste it by living in the past. He nodded, squeezing my hand once before letting go. I stayed until he fell asleep, then drove back to my town, to my mountains, to my life. 5 years later, I received a wedding invitation. Renard Montgomery and Dr. Sarah Chen cordially invite you to celebrate their marriage. The photo showed them on a beach, both tanned and smiling, genuinely happy. I did not recognize the woman, but her eyes were kind, and the way Renard looked at her was different from how he had ever looked at me. Lighter. Free from the weight of old debts and older ghosts. I sent a card with my congratulations. That same month, Mrs. Lin convinced me to join her book club. That was where I met James, a wildlife photographer who had moved to town to document the region's biodiversity. He was patient and funny, with a quiet steadiness that reminded me of the mountains themselves. We became friends first. Then, slowly, carefully, something more. One evening, as we watched the sunset from the ridge above town, he turned to me. You have been through something terrible, have not you? Yes. Do you want to talk about it?
Someday.
But not today. That is all right. I can wait.
And he did.
He waited while I learned to trust again, to believe that love did not have to be a battleground. He waited while I shed the last remnants of the woman I had been and grew into someone new. On our wedding day, simple and small, surrounded by friends from the town, I realized something profound. Renard had taught me what I did not want. James showed me what I did. Some people come into our lives to break us open so we can rebuild ourselves stronger. Renard was my earthquake, but I was the one who chose what to construct from the rubble. I heard through a mutual acquaintance that Lorraine passed away in prison. Complications from her injuries. Renard attended the funeral alone and scattered her ashes at the mining memorial where her parents were honored. I hoped she found peace. I truly did. Years folded into each other. James and I built a life together, not perfect but honest. We had a daughter with his steady eyes and my stubborn chin. We named her Hope. Sometimes, late at night when I could not sleep, I would stand on our porch and look at the stars. I would think about the woman I had been, trapped in a cycle of trauma and toxic love. I would think about how close I came to losing myself entirely. And I would feel grateful. Grateful that I survived. Grateful that I ran. Grateful that I found the courage to choose myself when no one else would. Renard only realized what he lost after I was gone. But by then I had already realized what I gained. Myself. And that, in the end, was worth everything.